Hi, I'm Lisa Sabaniak, and today we're talking about syncing with the moon cycles. And we're going to talk about three major things today. So, number one, we are going to talk about how you can actually connect with the moon and the history of connecting with the moon. Second, we are going to talk about the moon cycles themselves. And third, we are going to talk about how you can reclaim your inner goddess by working with the moon phases. So let's get started. So, first, let's talk about how we can connect with the moon. So, essentially, when we would have been tribal communities, right? So, back in ancient human times, that's how we used to be able to figure out when we were going to plant, when was the best time for us to harvest, right? When there was certain foods that were going to be ready. If we were gathering and hunting, right? We would use the cycles of the moon to be able to figure out our lives really and purely. And for women, that also meant that they were using the moon to gauge their menstrual cycle. Now, in society today, we are starting to talk more about menstrual cycles, etc. But, in my day growing up, it was very taboo kind of topic. But going back in ancient times, women were actually very well respected and their menstrual cycles were really well revered. And the reason for this, one of the many reasons for this, is that women understood, and so did the men of those times, understood that the uterus, the womb space, was not just a vessel for carrying new life, but it was kind of our creation center, right? That is where our sacral chakra sits, which deals with creativity. And so this was where ideas were born. It was also what a woman would do to help her community was take on the energy of others and help to transmute that energy in her womb space. And so the bleed was actually her allowing herself to release that energy. So this was sacred because she was doing something for her community. And so women would go and bleed together in ceremony and ritual. And it was a very well respected and revered monthly occurrence that was synced with the moon. So, for you looking to actually connect with the moon, the first thing that you can really do is by watching this video and learning about the cycles of the moon, and then taking the time to actually step outside, not just look out the window, but step outside each evening and look for the moon. Right? See where she is in her phase, in her cycles, and then just simply honor that. A nice ritual that I do is every single night I go outside, I find the moon, and I say, "Good night, moon." Really simple way to connect with the moon. Now, there are lots of other ways that you can connect as well. So, you could be using the moon and her cycles for helping you to manifest, as well as helping you to release what no longer serves you. You can use it to charge your crystals. You can use it to make moon water, which you can then drink. You can then use in your cooking, etc. There's lots of different ways to connect, which I will have and do have lots of different videos. One of the best videos I have is actually an entire playlist on working with the moon. You can access that here. And that is actually going through every single chakra and two videos for every chakra. One that is helping you to release what no longer is serving you there with the full moon. And then the other is allowing you to manifest what it is that you do want, what that chakra deals with, and what you do want to bring in with the new moon. So that is a beautiful practice to help you to connect and one that I highly recommend. Side note, if you're loving this video as much as I love making this video, then I want you to join me on my Witch membership. So this is a beautiful membership that you have three options to join, and each of them gives you varying levels of support. And we're talking about monthly spells and monthly rituals, monthly oracle card readings or rune castings for the collective, monthly healings in terms of Reiki and womb healings as well. And also just information helping guide you for basics in witchcraft, like how to build an altar, how to actually cleanse your energy of your home and your body, maybe your pets even. So, if all of this interests you, then I invite you to check out the description, find the link for the Witch membership, and join me today. So, on to part two of the video where we talk about the actual cycles of the moon. Now, there are actually four cycles of the moon. And interestingly enough, we also have four seasons, right? And we also have really four versions of our own personality as well, little changes that happen within us that actually are linked with the moon. Now, we have long known that the moon is actually responsible for the tides in the ocean. So, for those people that really struggle to see how our personalities, what we're interested in, and what I'm going to talk about in this video are somehow synced with the moon, then I urge you to think if the moon can actually have such an impact on oceans in affecting the tides, and we are 70% water, then doesn't that seem a little weird that it wouldn't impact you, being that you are made so much of actual water? And so that's exactly what's happening. In our four cycles of the moon, they are synced with our seasons and with our personalities. And so let's go through each of them briefly. Let's start with the full moon because most people notice when a full moon is out, right? It literally is descriptive of what it is. It is a full moon. You can see the entire moon in the night sky. And this is really linked with summer. Yeah, with summer kind of energy, in that, a lot of people really enjoy summer. They're very sociable. They want to be out and about. They want to be active in the summer, right? And so full moon energy, that week ish of that energy being around is when you are actually going to be feeling lots more energy. Typically, if you are synced with the moon, you'll feel lots of energy. You'll want to be out and about. You might even, if you're female, you might want to be wearing dresses, more summery types of clothes, even. From there, we move into the waning moon, which essentially just means that we're seeing a little bit less of the moon in the night sky as we go through the next week. So we're starting to form a crescent with the moon, right? So that we are obviously not able to see nearly as much. This is called the waning moon. And as you would imagine, your energy is also going to be waning with that. So it's going to be starting to fade. So rather than you feeling your most productive self and your highest energy, you're starting to slow down a little bit. You're starting to get a little bit more, drawn inwards, let's say, a little bit less social. And this is really typical to fall type energy. So eventually, the moon is going to be waning so much that the crescent is going to get so small that it actually becomes dark. We can't see the moon at all. And this is the new moon. And this is like winter. This is when we're hibernating, right? We really are introspective. Our inner critic has come out to play here. We really don't want to be active. That includes exercise and socializing, right? You can imagine how much your diet would change in terms of what you're craving at this time of the month, right? And this is typically, if you are a menstruating woman, this is when you might be menstruating, right? It kind of goes with those types of feelings of, ah, no, I just want to be under a cozy blanket over here. And then finally, we start to come back. We start to build another crescent into seeing the moon more, which is the waxing moon. And with this, we are starting to slowly build our energy back up. right? So we are starting to kind of come out of our shell, right? Throw the blanket aside and wanting to start to emerge from our cocoon again, just like we would do in the spring. So again, we're going to be changing up what it is that we feel like wearing, what we feel like eating, right? All of these types of things are going to start to change as the moon is building back up and becoming more and more visible in the night sky. So, part three of our video now is reclaiming your inner goddess using the phases of the moon. So, in this part of our video, we want to talk about really how you can kind of put the connection of the moon that we talked about in the first part with the cycles of the moon that we talked about in the second part to now really come into your own and reclaim that inner goddess. And how we're going to do that is by paying attention, right? Paying attention to what we feel like eating, paying attention to our productivity levels, paying attention to what types of exercise we feel like, paying attention to how social we feel like being or how cocooned we feel like being, paying attention to the clothes that we want to wear and our moods, all of these things. And oftentimes that means that we need to do a little bit of tracking, right? Or journaling or something so that we can kind of be paying attention. So, whether that is a little calendar that has the cycles of the moon so that you can have that up and be like, ooh, look, I would be entering into full moon energy now. Right. Yeah. So, this is why I am starting to feel more productive. I am feeling like setting all of my goals, all my targets that I want to reach. I want to start lifting more weights and being more high impact exercises at the gym. I want to be outside and da da da, right? All of these different things that come up for you that you are starting to track them. And the purpose of the tracking is so that you can honor them, right? Many times when we go wrong on our diet and our exercise plans and even in our to do list, is because we are coming up with the recipes of what we want to eat and our workout plan like if we're linear beings, right? Like if we're going to be the same every day of every week of every month. But we are not linear. Males are more linear, although they will also be affected by the moon, of course, because they are also made of 70% water. But females are very cyclical beings. We are not linear, which means that when you make that to-do list, that is beautiful for that day that you are feeling that, because the next day you might shift into the next phase of the moon's energy. The day that you make the to-do list might be the last day of the full moon energy. So as you start to track this and as you start to realize, ooh, yes, I do consistently feel full moon energy for about 5 days. Yeah, I do. And then I shift into waning moon. But you know what? The last couple of months, I've noticed that I'm in the waning moon phase for 7, maybe even 8 days, right? It's not as long as my productive phase. Okay. And then when I'm in my, my new moon phase, I'm actually only there for 4 days, which is brilliant, right? That's my real hibernation phase. And then whoop, I'm back into my waxing moon. So by keeping track of these types of things, you got to start to really understand you. That awareness that you're bringing out in yourself is gold. This is really allowing you to identify back with yourself, reconnect with yourself. That finds your inner goddess. But ultimately, what we really want to do is we want to be able to realize that when we wake up in the morning and we had a plan for what our day was going to be, and we realize, I don't feel like doing any of those things that I had planned for myself. I planned all of these social things, and oh, no, I don't want to do them. That instead of being hard on ourselves, we're actually honoring ourselves because we're realizing what's happened. We realize that the moon has shifted, and so therefore, so has our energy has shifted. That there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong in then wanting to cancel those plans or rearrange your day or whatever it is that's going on for you that you didn't realize yesterday or however long ago it was when you made these plans. You didn't realize that today was going to be a shifting day for you, right? And it allows you to start planning ahead as well, to start realizing, huh, yeah, so full moon energy is definitely that's when I should be planning all of my social stuff. So you know what? That's what I'm going to do. My friends are reaching out, they want to get together, you right? They want to plan a bunch of things and that's wonderful. Let's do it. But let me look and see when the full moon is out next. That's when I'm going to suggest that I'm available to do this because that's when I'm going to be social. And under no circumstances am I going to try to book this when it is new moon energy because that's when I'm going to be cocooning and hibernating the most. That's when I'm the least likely to want to go out. The more that you are honoring yourself, the more you are allowing your inner goddess to emerge. And that includes what you're putting into your body, the types of exercises, and the clothes that you are wearing, right? Like I said, full moon is summer energy, and then you've got waning moon is the fall. Those are two completely different clothing options for you to wear, right? You would be wearing maybe more dressy types of things in the summer. And then the fall, you start to pull out the sweaters, right? You start to pull out the kind of autumnal colors. Or then you move into our winter weather where now we've got the big woolly clothes on. We're dressing in layers now. And then we start moving into spring where we start removing those layers. We start wearing more pastel colors or different, maybe bright colors to represent spring. Maybe we're pulling those dresses back out, right? And men will do this as well. Maybe not with the dresses, but they will do this as well in terms of their wardrobe too. So honor that. Literally have kind of sections in your wardrobe that are like, instead of it being, oh, I'm going to take out all my summer clothes and replace them with all my winter clothes. Do we have some clothes that are going to be warm enough for us to wear in the actual winter season, but that seem more like summery in terms of maybe it's a dress, but it's a woolen dress, right? Maybe it's a nice heavy material that'll keep you warm and you can wear tights underneath and etc. But it's still a dress. And maybe it's a nice bright color that for you represents spring or summer, right? Maybe there's butterflies all over it or something, whatever it is. And you keep a few of these outfits out in your closet rather than tucking them all away because, oh, no, it's not summertime, so I've got to get rid of all the summer gear. Maybe it means that you go to a charity shop and find something that is a dress, but a winter dress so that you can make that compromise, right? So that you can actually have something to wear physically in the winter. And same thing when it's the summer, right? In the summer, obviously it's hot outside, and yet you're going to feel like wearing winter type things. Are you going to pull out a jumper? No, probably not because it's probably too warm to do that. So, what can you do with your wardrobe so that you are actually feeling like you are honoring that winter phase and that fall phase for that matter, but with clothes that are light enough, right, for you? So, does that mean that you have a nice little tank top that is autumnal color? Right. So that when it's fall season or waning moon, that you put on the autumnal color tank top, right? So you play with your wardrobe so that you are allowing that part of yourself to express. And when you start doing that, not only is your inner goddess coming out, but you are celebrating her, you are honoring her, you are allowing her to be. And as you are doing that, you are also starting to notice that your personality shifts a little bit with each of these as well. And again, honoring rather than putting yourself down is all the difference in the world. I hope you have enjoyed this video as much as I have loved making it. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love for you to do so. You can do it here, or in the link in the description. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.